like somehow, it's just kind of a rule of mine. I typically don't feel bad for politicians, especially when they have engaged in such far-flung lies and corruption. They've got me feeling bad for Joe, you know? I mean, everyone believed in him until they didn't. Joe Biden has been under investigation pretty much his entire time in office. I kind of wonder if this is just going to be how things go now. You know, Trump was in office his entire 4 years. He was under investigation for Russia collusion. Ultimately, the report came out. They couldn't find any direct ties. However, it really tarnished his legacy. There's a lot of people who still believe that there was Russian collusion just because it was in the 24-hour news cycle all of the time. Now, Biden has come in pretty much from day one. He has been under investigation for his family through Hunter Biden, kind of as the bag man, going around the world, making lots of money. A lot of the Bidens are worth millions of dollars. How do you do that when you've only been in public office for the last 50 years? People have questions about that. So maybe when you become president, you just know that the House or the Senate is going to investigate you the entire time that you're there. And I'll be completely transparent. I don't hate that.
Wow.
You know, there is a biblical model for leadership, and the biblical prescription is to be above reproach. This is what Paul told Titus and Timothy, these young preachers. He said, you are to be above reproach. And above reproach can be defined as being bulletproof to accusation. So if you're above reproach in your marriage, someone can bring the craziest allegation possible of infidelity, and you won't have to have one drop of sweat because you're above reproach. You have lived your life correctly. You've never even put yourself in a position to where you're going to have to worry about what that investigation finds. There's not going to be one single DM, one single text thread to someone of the opposite sex that you're going to have to be worried about because you're just above reproach. That's how you live your life. Financially, you know, if you're running a company, if you're running a country, there's going to be zero embezzlement. You're going to be able to account for everything. You're not going to have misused funds. You're not going to have taken corporate money for your own gain. There's just going to be nothing. And above reproach is like, here's all of it. Here's all the information. Here's all my texts. Here's my computer. Here's everything. Here's the key to my house. Here's my car. Here's the name and numbers to everybody I've ever known. Call all of them because, dude, I'm above reproach. And so we should want presidents who are above reproach. And part of being above reproach is not being scared of investigation, because if anything, a very thorough investigation is just going to prove how squeaky clean you actually are. Now, the problem, of course, is almost no one gets to the heights of power in politics while remaining squeaky clean. And so one of the differences is that Donald Trump was not a politician. He was a not squeaky clean businessman, and everybody kind of knew about it. And they knew about his failed ventures, and they knew about Trump University, and they knew that he presented himself as a womanizer, and he'd been married a ton of times, and he had cheated on his wives, and that he was very brash, and his whole thing was firing people and humiliating them, and he made disparaging remarks about women, and it was just all out there, right? And I've said the whole time, it's like, you want to know my opinion about the election? It sucks, right? My opinion is there no one else? There's no one else in the whole country. Our best options are Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, who her DNC is free abortions and her economic plan is Maduro 2.0, and Trump, who he's got, you know, kind of a messianic following at this point for some on the right. I think the majority of Americans are kind of like, ooh, like, is it over? Are we done? Can we get just someone somewhat normal on either side that we can just all go, hey, I don't really agree with his, you know, stance on this, that, and the third, but seems like a good dude, you know? Can we get that again, please, at some point? Okay. So now, very recently, like yesterday, it came out that the House Oversight Committee has found that Biden is guilty in their eyes of impeachable offenses. All right, let's look at the story. Impeachable conduct, long-awaited House GOP report finds Biden defrauded the U.S. to enrich his family. A months-long Republican-led investigation into President Joe Biden's influence on his family's business dealings found that the president engaged in impeachable conduct, abused his office, and defrauded the United States to enrich his family. A 292-page congressional report alleged. The report, which was released Monday and prepared by the House Oversight Committee, House Judiciary Committee, and House Ways and Means Committee, said there is overwhelming evidence that Biden took part in his family's foreign business dealings by using his public office to enrich his family. The report further alleged that Biden family and its associates were paid more than $27 million by foreign individuals or entities since 2014. As vice president, President Biden actively participated in his conspiracy by, among other things, attending dinners with families' foreign business partners and speaking to them by phone, often when being placed on speakerphone by Hunter Biden. It adds, foreign money was transmitted to the Biden family through complicated financial transactions. The Biden family laundered funds through intermediate entities and broke up large transactions into numerous smaller transactions. In 2014, then Vice President Biden attended a dinner with Russian oligarch Yelena Baturina. Following the dinner, Baturina wired $3.5 million to Hunter Biden's firm, Rosemont Seneca Thornton. As revealed by records on Hunter Biden's laptop, Biden also met with Hunter's business associates from Ukraine, Russia, and Kazakhstan while he was vice president in 2015. So this is looking really, really bad. And when the illusion of Biden's cognitive ability was still there, this would have been really bad. But now this is devastating for him.
Wow.
It appears that they are looking for a reason to throw Joe Biden off the bridge already. I mean, basically, Nancy Pelosi has come out and said, yeah, I didn't think he could do it. And so I did what I had to do. And it's been widely reported that Barack Obama was in on his ouster from the nomination, that Biden is really hurt because Obama wouldn't talk to him directly about it. He kind of went around him. There are reports that they might have pulled the 25th Amendment card and held that over his head to get him to drop the nomination. All of this is really, really ugly. And they leveraged Joe, knowing he was in the throes of senility, thinking they could ride this, broken three-leg horse to victory. And then when he no longer suited their needs post the CNN debate with Trump, Pelosi and Obama and Harris and Schumer, they all took him out behind the barn, right? So, somehow, it's just kind of a rule of mine. I typically don't feel bad for politicians, especially when they have engaged in such far-flung lies and corruption. They've got me feeling bad for Joe, I mean, everyone believed in him until they didn't. And now he's kind of a useful pawn for them. And possibly the best thing that could happen is for the Republican-led House of Representatives to impeach him and take him out. Because the only way that I think Joe and Joe Biden aren't blowing up the spot is that he gets to continue to serve as president. And tonight they're going to really honor him. It's going to be his night at the DNC. And he's the new George Washington who stepped aside and laid down his sword, right? So he's getting to be all the things. But if the Republicans can take him out, if you were a Republican strategist, you would say, I don't even know that going through this is a good idea. It's almost like that Simpsons meme where it's like, you're going to kill him. Stop. He's down. Quit hitting him. At the same time, if this is all true, I mean, this is your job. If you're in the House Oversight Committee, you give oversight. And these are really, really damning testimonies. It's really damning evidence. And part of this is when there is smoke, there is often fire. And a lot of times we are told to not believe our lying eyes, our lying ears, and even our lying discernment. We saw prior to the election, Hunter Biden's laptop already revealed most of this stuff. 10% to the big guy. At least Hunter Biden says to his kids, at least I don't take half of all of your salary, all of these things. And of course, during the 2020 election, 51 officials came out and said that the laptop wasn't real. It was Russian disinformation. Well, 3 years later, the laptop is used as a legitimate source of material in Hunter Biden's trial. So it was real. And so it's kind of just telling us things that we already know. And the timing seems a little bit precarious. And this goes back to us choosing, right? If we really are in a representative democracy, then we choose who represents us. And they begin to climb those ladders. And it just feels, and maybe this is my undying optimism, it feels like in a representative democracy, we now have the means to communicate. We are connected digitally and socially, where together as a country, we could go, hey, look, you lean more right, I lean more left, I lean more centrist. You know, we have our different ideas, different policy prescriptions, but can all of us together just start choosing some better freaking people? You know, my best buddy, he sent me an Instagram reel of a guy making a great point, which was like, if you're MAGA all the way, you just need to know Trump's not going to fix anything just by getting into office. He's going to change some policies around, and maybe you'll like his policies more. Maybe you're on the left and you'll hate his policies. If you're on the left, Kamala getting in isn't going to fix anything, because what's broken is the people allowing ourselves to be represented by people who are simply not above reproach. As a matter of fact, they're very, 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 very far below reproach. They are reproachable. They are corrupt as the day is long. And we all know it. Everyone knows this. You ask anybody about the government and they'll say it's corrupt. But the government is put in there by us. We put them in there. We vote them in. Left and right alike. You have this uniparty structure of people whose sole concern, maybe not sole concern, primary concern, is keeping power. And we just keep allowing it to happen. And so when will we wake up? When will we get a vision for ourselves? You know, scripture says, when the land lacks vision, the people perish. And I think typically we want a strong leader to cascade that vision down to us. But there is a vision for the country. It was given to us by our forefathers, is a country that the people are represented, and the people who are elected actually represent what the people need and want. And so that vision exists. We just need to grasp back onto it and use the tools available to us and go, man, left, right, or center. Policies are one thing, but let's put better people in these positions. And imagine if we had 2 nominees for president, or even 3 nominees, that'd be crazy. People who were in the final stretch, a couple months from getting into office, and we could all go, you know what, my guy may not win, but the other guy, the other lady seems like a good person. What an insane and crazy world that would be. I think it's possible, but we have to get a vision for ourselves, and we have to demand that our leaders are above reproach. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you are subscribed so you can stay up to date with all new content. And if you want early access, exclusive content, and monthly live Q&As, make sure to check out patreon.com/Clayton Tyner.